All right, everybody, we are back with another episode of Bigger and Louder podcast. As always, I'm Handsome Face Anthony.
And I'm Johnny D's Nuts.
Oh, man. And again, can't thank you guys enough for listening and tuning to us. As we mentioned last episode, we were a little bit on hiatus just because of personal issues and personal things in our lives. But we're back recording, talking about all the fun pop culture stuff that we care about, that probably you don't care about. But nevertheless, we're going to try and make it entertaining. We're going to switch it up a little bit here. But we want to bring in one of our old segments, which is like Get the Fuck Out of Here, which is typically a topic that one of us is feeling very passionate about and that we're griping over. And I think Johnny D's got something to gripe over. So I'm going to hand over to John. He's going to take over what his Get the Fuck Out of Here moment is all about, man. So take it away, man.
Oh, my God, Anthony, thank you. And I got to tell you, get the fuck out of here to all these entitled parents who disrespect the rules at school parking.
Disrespectful parents?
Pick up and drop off at school is a fucking nightmare right now. And I swear, dude, like I already had a blow up once, and I'm the PTO president, and I don't want it to happen again. But we at our school don't have a structured pickup policy. It's find a parking spot, come and pick up your kid and leave. And I'm frankly like over it. Parents block. They just think that they can park in the middle of the street, double, sometimes triple park, put their little hazard lights on and unload their kids and block the road. And I'm talking like 8 to 9 cars deep on a barely 2-lane road when there's parking.
Mm-hmm.
In the parking lot, for that matter, they don't like obey the lines, the directions out of both ways to get out of the parking lot, dude. At our school, you have to make a right because it's a super busy road. These assholes will take their precious time and put everybody else on the back burner to make a fucking left. And I got to tell you, get the fuck out of here. It's disrespectful. What are you teaching your kids? That you're better than everybody else? I'll teach them the other way. I'll show them the other way.
We got to remember, man, it's not the kids, man. It's not the kids' fault.
But this
Again,
is the thing.
The parents' fault, right?
It's that behavior, Anthony, that translates. They're watching their parents say, oh, we're better than everybody else. We're cutting the line. We're going to make the left. So to me, it's really more about respecting everybody else's time and safety. Like you can't block an entire lane of traffic down a 2-way street during lunch because people use that road. There's other schools on that road. There are houses there. And if you're parked waiting for your kid to come out, you're blocking traffic. And it's dangerous because that means somebody now has to go all the way down the wrong, usually the wrong way, down the other side of the road and pray no one else is coming the other direction, right? Around the corner. Right. Now they know because these people deal with it. They complain to the school about it, but like still nothing's been done. So you are not more entitled to your time than we are ours at recess or something.
So here's the thing. Do you think here's the thing, man. Do you really believe it's actually related to more of like entitlement, or do you think it's just more of like stupidity, common sense, ignorance, and maybe a bit naive of these adults?
No, I think there's a line. There's
no pun intended. No pun intended. There's a line.
Yeah. Maybe pun intended. There's a line that I feel you shouldn't cross where it's like, okay, if there is no parking on the front of the school and there's 350 kids in the school that need to get picked up and everyone's parking in the red and kind of like in the do not park zones, as long as you're not blocking an unwritten rule, don't block someone's driveway in the neighborhood, right? Everyone's kind of parking wherever, around the curves and right in front. We all have to suck it up and do that. Okay, that's one of like how we operate as an unwritten rule. We also will park like at the not at the stop sign, but like where you're not supposed to park at stop signs because there's no parking. The church, because this is a Catholic school, is going to be doing a parking lot repave and relining and removing, at the principles in my recommendation, like some of these like trees that are in the parking lot that just make it a big nuisance for parking, right? They're going to just pave everything over and make straight lines. And I think that will really help. But they right now just don't even park in the spots, or they'll take up 2 spots because they're driving a G-Wagon. And, my Mercedes SUV gets priority over this guy's, caravan or my Kia. Like, you know, it's like, nah,
So
nah,
why
nah.
don't so how about this? Why don't, since you're on the parents association, and again, I know it's easier said than done because again, I'm not in the school district. I'm sure there's like zoning laws and ways in which to get things passed to do this, but like, why not kind of do it like in the movie Mr. Mom, where if you've ever seen that movie, Michael Keaton's one of his
Yes.
funniest, where it's like there's like it's drop off and pickup, where basically you have to do it the right way, where it's a one lane, right? Like you pick up is exactly between the time of it's between the time of, let's say, 3 to 4, where like, all right, it's first come, first serve, or you have to arrange it where students, it's like, okay, class 1, okay, your pickup time is between 3 p.m. to 3:15. Moms and dads, you have to be there at this time. If not, like, you got to circle around again, or you're shit out of luck. And again, it's just like, again, there's always a con to every pro, but like, and then vice versa. And like, in the end,
I love
pickup,
that idea.
right? It's like one way in, one way out. It's like, it basically prevents anyone from either cutting the line, double parking, triple parking, etc. So I'm just kind of concerned, like, if this has been an issue for you, and I'm assuming it's an issue for other parents, one, like, has the school addresses or has mentioned in like a letter to the adults being like, hey, we are aware of this, like, here's our plan over the next 6 months, or no?
You asked a good question. So I wanted to say, like, first of all, like, good idea. And like, your kids aren't in school yet, dude. So like, when you go to place them, like, these are things that you now know to look for, right? And for any other, like, soon to be toddlers that are going to be in preschool or kindergarten soon, look for that. It's the little things. So yes, I'm PTO.
So here's the thing, though.
So
Here's the thing, man.
yeah.
Just to your point, I want to add on because you brought. So I'm already bringing my kid to school already. Like, here's the thing of it. Like,
she goes to like daycare, preschool, right?
It's like a pre-K, like, where kids can interact. So here's the thing, like, just to your point, like, about like the system we have here, is there is no pathway, driveway, parking lot to drop these kids off. As a matter of fact, like, it's on the responsibility of the adults to park away from the school, and the adults, the parents, must then escort their child into the school. And then at pickup time, it is your responsibility to pick your child up. But there is no parking. There's no school parking. You have to park on the street or adjacent parking.
Figure it out. Right.
You figure it out. So there is no cutting lines. There is no me before you before me. There is no sort of like, well, let me zip through here, kind of get to the grocery store. No, it's like you're on public parking.
Well,
so
let me ask you a question. Would you be
Yeah.
pissed if you were going to, like, let me ask you this classic question then. Would you be pissed if you were going to back in, like, I'm assuming that you're an excellent parallel parker like I am. So if you were going to go find a metered spot on your street, slide in, parallel park, and somebody just nosedived right in, as you're going to back in and stole your spot, would you get pissed? And especially if they were,
well, yeah, I mean, listen, I would. Well, here's the thing, man. Like, it's like, pick your poison, right? Like, you can't have it all. You're either going to deal with shit in the parking lot of a school if they're willing to have that with like public parking, or you're going to deal with like street parking and like having to deal with you having to be there on time. Like, yes, there have been instances where I've seen, I'm actually on the other side of that argument. I'm more the guy that, I just saw something open up. I'm the dude that actually will cut across the fucking lane and zip in there and get it when I probably shouldn't. But like, it's all about
me and you come into a front, like, you cut me off, you steal my parking spot, and we both get out.
The standard, we come out with
like Godzilla, King Kong.
Yeah, it's like the Wild West. We come out our 6 shooters. All right, 10 paces and turn and fire. It's like, who gets the spot?
News update: we're changing schools. I paid my registration fee yesterday.
You're transferring school. Unbelievable.
Well, this is
they're transferring schools, folks, because they don't get the parking.
Small, right. That's the reason I left the park.
John, I hate to admit it, man. I think Southern California has got more problems than I think that you're willing to admit to it. Like, you
get out of here. This is not.
You hate the city. You hate the school system.
He's been waiting. I don't know. You've been waiting to get me to talk shit about California. It's not a California specific thing. He's been texting me, when are you going to move to Connecticut? Be my neighbor by the house across the street.
Won't you be my neighbor? I'm like,
did you not remember that in our first episode, you were like, it's the worst decision I ever made?
Oh, no, I didn't say it was the worst decision I ever made. I said I had to come to a compromise over location, not to say that moving was a bad idea.
Yes.
I will say the school systems here in the state of Connecticut are absolutely superb compared to most other states. They're phenomenal. That's one of the reasons
my cousins went to Simsbury, which is like a top school in the state. Simsbury. Yeah.
They have this shit organized. I mean, they seem to have, like, they got it all down to us. They got it down to a science. Yeah. Like, the public schools here can probably, I say, would compete, if not would always be parallel to a private school elsewhere. Like
Well, let me
that's
ask you
like,
this.
yeah,
Let
go
me
ahead.
ask you this. So, your interpretation of the like kids that went to Catholic school in our area. So, upstate New York, we
Yeah,
didn't really have too many Catholic schools. We had what was the name of it?
Burke.
Not Burke. Burke Catholic. Thank you. Sorry, I was about to look it up. you got me. So Burke Catholic. And I had a couple friends that went there by choice, and my neighbors. But then mostly for me, it was like kids that got expelled from our school.
Pretty much, yeah. Like usually,
Yeah,
like
what
when
was
you
your interpretation?
that was literally what I was about to say. Like in most experiences, it's one of two things: either like you can't cut it in private school, public school, and literally you either just like getting into either altercations, you're just feeling miserable. So like you try. That's the only alternative because you don't live in another. You're not zoned for another district to go to public school. So yeah, like usually you that's usually what happens with any other kids, but in this particular scenario or status quo, if you will, like yeah, kids typically and I think from what was witnessed is that you transfer from public school to Catholic school because like you're either a degenerate, you're not cutting it, and maybe the nuns will straighten you out. Or on the flip side, you're not getting the education that our tax paying dollars are paying for this. So therefore, we maybe go there to get a better education because it's either public, Catholic, or private. And usually private is way more expensive to send your kid away to live in a dormitory with other kids from the area. Like what's very popular, which I think a lot of kids
Like a
did, is
boarding school?
not yeah, boarding school. What is it, like Oliver Twist? Please, sir, can I have some more, please?
No, that was child slavery.
Yeah. Okay, you ruined my joke.
but
Whatever.
not, yeah.
Anywho, but yeah, like I think in New Jersey, like, uh, give me 1 second. Sorry, folks, I'm having a caffeine issue here. Like even like what happened was a lot of kids that I knew would transfer to Don Bosco Prep in New Jersey, which was considered
Yes.
like the closest thing you could get to what you might see on like a movie or TV series, but what a private school should be because of just what type of advantages you can get by networking there if you want to play sports for after high school, like whether it was swimming, football, basketball, whatever it may be, like you had connections there, but you stayed at
Yes.
that school or you had the option to
Bergen
do so.
Catholic too.
Bergen Catholic too. So like the point being is like back to like, why the public schools are so good in Connecticut and why kids are not really in that kind of umbrella is because it comes down to dollars and cents. They pay their teachers a better salary in most places in Connecticut. That's why the public school system here is a lot more better versus sending your kid to a private school where you're paying your teachers a better salary and therefore they're going to care more about their job and care about the curriculum and care about seeing these kids succeed despite the fact that yeah, the whole no child left behind that, but like they're gonna make sure these kids get the best education they can get compared to other students, and that's why in Connecticut they really have like moved their dollars around to invest in the teacher salary.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it's like there's more flexibility there from like what the public education offers, and I think there needs to be like a real overhaul of the public education system in Cali and across America. But for us, like my wife went to Catholic school. Like I agreed with it because again, it's like you're kind of like pigeonholing yourself.
And listen,
Um,
some parents believe in religion in school. Like, to be frank, like they really stand by like religion, God, whatever your religion is. If there's a school to teach you such things, like they really stand by like these are like family. And again, like it's kind of like a weird twist because it's like the family's views are being passed on to the child's views, which they don't know any better because if you're growing up, like you're gonna do what your parents say. So like you really don't have much of a say or really know like the background of it. But like if you told a 25-year-old, like, listen, like you're in a Catholic school and you're more aware of who you are, the world in which you live in, you might be like, well, no, like that doesn't fit me. But it's just kind of like a weird thing that like forced this life onto a child that they don't know any better. So, but some
yeah, I
parents
think
find that as
that
valuable.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good perspective, dude. Like, that's a good perspective to have because it's like you don't necessarily want to indoctrinate, right? But I
But it
think like to
happens. It
me,
happens
like
all the time. It happens all
well,
the
it
time.
does happen, but like for me, it's less about the religious aspect of it and more about the fundamental, like, well, it's the curriculum, educational curriculum, like that. I think it's just like at a different tier. But then it's also the character building, right? And like I'm not the best. I'm not like a Catholic, right? Like I don't necessarily go to
You
church
don't
and do that
practice. You
type
don't
of thing,
practice as much as
right?
you
I'm not,
should.
yeah, but like that's the way I was raised, and I think it's like all the Bible aside, the thing like you just do unto others, right? Like it's not even a commandment, but like if you live by like
As we think of those who trespass against us.
I think it's just like it's important to kind of keep that all in perspective and not totally how do you say, like, get caught up in the religious aspect of it, but know that it's like those fundamentals, like, if you don't covet someone else's wife and you don't lie to your parents and you respect your parents and you don't steal, don't murder, those kind of things, like those are solid societal rules. Like don't necessarily have to be religious. It's like the same thing, like, there are many religions that like have respect to nature. Like I
You know what the
believe
bitch
in
of it
that
is,
just
though,
as
to your
much.
point? But you know what the bitch of it is, though, to
Yeah.
your point? Let's just say that, yeah, there are, because it's easy for someone like you and I, or any adult between the ages of 28 and older, to see that as a value because you realize just exactly how cruel the world is. And you're like, wow, these are really cool values to hold in your adult world. But when you're between the ages of 8 to, let's say, 15, and you're in school with someone who literally practices that in their own way, there's always those kids you knew who just like were a bit off, or they didn't fit the social norms of like the groups that you associated with, etc. Like you knew, like I remember there was like a girl that many years ago, like literally was like, there is a structure, like we must date before we go to the next step. There's always these steps in which they're being taught these things. And the bitch of it is like, these are the kids that actually get dismissed early or get like bad raps in school, because you got the kids who are basically like doing their own thing over
The
here,
kids that
doing the
don't
social,
give a fuck, that are little
the kids that don't
shits.
give a
Yeah,
fuck, the
sure.
little shits, and you got the 1% of the kids that literally will fall into a line of structure based upon like their upbringing, whether it's religion based or not, and they're the ones who might just be like, whoa, or they're the ones that you or someone else in another group might be like, what the fuck's wrong with this person? This person's a weirdo. Oh my God, like this is not worth my time. And I hate to say this, is like there are some people who look at, I don't want to go into this route because it's a long talking point, but those are the people that you say to them, well, that's not another notch in the belt. And you talk about those people behind their back being like, yeah, it's like you have a better
Well,
shot
you're
seeing
a
the
real son of
present.
a bitch.
Well, not me. I never did that kind of shit.
No, no, of course not. You don't engage in locker room talk. Well, of course not.
No.
No, but dude, like I think, look, like people shouldn't be mocked for their beliefs. Like, I'm trying to teach my kids, like, look, it doesn't matter if they're Catholic or Jewish. I teach kids about like Jewish, and there's Muslim children out there, and there's
That's what
people
it's called.
that
You're teaching kids about
don't believe it.
Jewish. It's called Judaism.
No, I said like there's kids, there are people that are Muslim and
Mm,
people that are Jewish. Not
mm.
I'm teaching them about the Jew or like the Jewish. And like, but yeah, no, there won't be any Israel Palestine talk on the show. But I'm trying to teach them that people are all different. Like we don't freak out in this house when there's two dads or two moms. Like, yeah, sometimes there might be a question about it, like especially early on with my daughter, but I don't think like Julian thinks twice about it, and I think that's important where it shouldn't phase you, to me. Like it shouldn't phase you to be exposed to things that are different. And I feel you from this standpoint of, well, if I only send my kid to Catholic school, it's like, well, one of the reasons that we are leaving is because lacking diversity. And my kids are like, half white, half Hispanic. So to them, there's only like maybe another 15, 20 kids in the school maximum that like share a little bit of like culture with them. Otherwise, it's predominantly like non-Catholic Armenians, because it's like technically they're like Christian Orthodox, or like they're more like they have a different
Yeah, but
sect.
here's a
Yeah.
conflict though. If you leave the school district, let's assume what your numbers are correct, where let's say the majority of those students are
No, I mean
Armenian.
they are correct.
Okay, so if they
They
are
are.
correct, by you guys leaving, you're not adding to the diverse. If anything, like for every, let's say, one student that leaves because for that fact that the majority of students are Armenian, and then it's like, okay, another Armenian family might move in because they're hearing, oh, there's actually a district where there's a community of Armenians or Lebanese individuals nearby, because that's where that's like, it's again thing. It's like people who have like all these neighborhoods, like it's like they're predominantly either, if they're your Mexican neighborhoods to your Italian neighborhoods to like your Chinese, again, like then you're only adding to your point where it's not going to be and again, gentrification is another thing I'm kind of like on the fence about for my own personal reasons about like gentrifying neighborhoods
because you are white. Yeah, because you're
not because
gentrifier, not the gentrifyee.
Well, no, it's not because of that. But again, then if anything, like you're gonna basically keep that school one. You're not adding
hitting
to
the
it.
nail on the head, man. Like you are correct. Like, yes, we're not adding to it, but like the part of the thing is like, again, I have a strong personality, man, and I don't want to always force my culture on others. I want to be a part of a culture sometimes. And this was even in the workplace. Like, like I don't necessarily always want to be like the culture guy. It's or like the, like, hey, let's go out and do this guy. But it's like that's an important aspect to any type of environment where it's community building. And you're trying to build fundamentals in children in this case. So like those types of communities, like seeing parents interact in a good manner and be friendly and go to parties together. Like, we're like this weekend we have an adults only event, but at the end of the month we're doing a family dance, like mother daughter or mother son daddy daughter. Everyone, family dance we're calling it, because everyone's invited and we don't want to like push anybody in a corner. We're not making a deal about it like, oh, it's a daddy daughter dance, but like this person doesn't have someone in their life that they share that bond with or like have that relationship with. A lot of their grandparents are there, so like we're trying to be inclusive and I'm trying to establish a culture, but that shouldn't necessarily be like the parents' job all the time. It needs to be led to me by like the administration. So I'm, my motivation is not because it's predominantly one group, or excuse me, predominantly this specific group. We're just looking for more diversity in general, dude. And yeah, like, we're not heading into like the most diverse areas, but like the public schools are only Hispanic, right? Because we live in a Hispanic neighborhood. So like, to us, it's just picking the most diverse, because I want my kids to be in school with Black students and Black teachers and Hispanic students and Filipino students and Armenian students and white students, and kind of see everybody and have a strong understanding that difference is important, right? Like it's not difference is okay or difference is acceptable, or like I accept you. Like fuck you. I don't need your acceptance.
Man,
like,
John, you're going really deep here, man. I'm talking,
dude,
like,
because
deep.
this like to me, this matters, bro. And like you're gonna be picking a school, like and again, you have a different quality out there. But when you pick a school for your kids, it's a huge decision, man. It really is. And it's so many little things that you won't know until you're there. Like, cleaning the school's budget. Like, what do they do for like event fees? Or do you have an upfront fee for all the events for the year, or do they charge you every month for different events? What's their policy on birthday parties? Like, do you bring stuff in? Do they do once a month, or do they have no birthday parties? Where can you get involved? Like the best answer I got when I asked Anthony at the new school, when I said, look, I know you don't have a parent teacher association. And he says, yeah, we really don't need one. Like, we got everything covered. And I said, that's great. But where can the parents get involved? Like, where do you need the help? And he says, wherever your student wants to get involved. And that was like, hell yeah. They want to play football, be a coach, be a volunteer. They want to do drama or choir, great. Be there to support and build the sets and support them in performances and fundraise. Like, do what the kid wants to do. Be there for your kid. That's fucking great.
I mean, listen, folks, this is what the power of pickups has happened in John's school district. It has actually affected the diversity in his school, where he can't pick up his kids successfully. It has actually affected the entire gentrification of the school district. That is the power in what John is dealing with right now. The two of them are coinciding.
I mean, look, John, there's definitely a crossroads here between, the culture that I was mentioning and the parking situation, right? Like if there was a strong culture, people wouldn't like disrespect everybody.
So here's a question: would you rather stay in the zone that you're in right now, go to their district, and know that something very similar is going to happen sooner or later, or would you rather pick up and go to maybe a place where it's not as highly populated, but the district is better?
I mean,
It's either one
that's
or the
not,
other. There's no middle ground. It's a hypothetical where it's like it's one of those cases. Is like
I
that's
picked a quality school.
so you would pick up your family, go to another school. Now again, the school district could be 100
No,
miles away.
because I don't have to, but I'm picking the quality. Like
No,
I'm
I'm
not
saying
gonna send my kid somewhere else. Like so, like okay, for example, what you're saying to me is like, all right, if the school's in like Ventura County opposed to Los Angeles County or
it
better,
doesn't make
right?
a difference where. I'm not giving a
Yeah,
town.
like
I'm not
yeah,
giving an
I would
exact
mean locally,
place.
but no, Anthony, I'm not gonna uproot my family to put them into
No,
school in Connecticut.
I don't want you to go to Connecticut. I mean, you can go to Denver, Colorado. You can go to Boise, Idaho. I don't know. Like it could be anywhere. I'm just saying that's the conundrum you're dealt with. Either you do the same thing again, expecting a different result, which is the definition of crazy, or you can actually uproot your family to a different district where this doesn't exist. Now, again, the
But okay,
consequences are
so just to be clear,
yeah,
again,
it's a
we go
hypothetical.
to private Catholic school.
It's
There
no,
are
it's hypothetical. Take it as is.
okay, within yes, within your hypothetical question, sure, I would move my family to Boise, Idaho, for a better school district, and then I can become mayor of Boise.
Excellent. You heard it here, folks. John admits Southern California sucks. He's moving up. He's moving to Idaho.
All right, man. I love you, brother. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us on Bigger and Louder. We're going to be coming at you real soon. Stay tuned. Follow and like us on Instagram, and give a shout out to Big Tony for all those new posts he's making. If you want to see anything, make sure you like and comment. All right, everybody. Stay tuned for more. Take care.